Good evening and welcome to another episode of Global Perspectives. On tonight's show, we are focusing on a region that we have never reported on before on Global Perspectives, and that is Russia. In a somewhat controversial election last month, former President and Prime Minister Vladimir Putin won the election by securing 63% of the vote. He will begin a 6-year presidential term next month. Through a strategically orchestrated political act, Putin has remained at the center of Russian power over the past decade. On tonight's show, we take a look at two perspectives: Russian politics and the power of Vladimir Putin. And we get more insight from someone who has lived in and studied about Russia, Dr. Hemanta Sirisena, the head of the Department of Modern Languages at the University of Kelaniya. All that up next on Global Perspectives tonight. Russia is not a topic that we talk much about in Sri Lankan media, so we thought we'd start tonight's show with an in-depth look at the country itself, its history, its rich cultural heritage, and its politics. Our guest tonight is Dr. Hemanta Sirisena, the head of the Department of Modern Languages at the University of Kelaniya. Dr. Sirisena specializes in Russian and has spent many years living and studying in Russia. In this first segment, we're talking to Dr. Sirisena to get better understanding of the dynamics of Russian politics. Dr. Sirisena, thank you very much for joining us on Global Perspectives. As you know, we're talking about Russia on this episode, and particularly the fact that Putin has been re-elected again and will start his term in May. I was wondering to start off with if you could give us an understanding of some of the factors that came into play during these recent elections and why the people voted him back into power.
After Gorbachev and Yeltsin, there was a catastrophe in Russia. I think all know this situation, and after that they lost everything because they were suggested so many reforms by the Western, and they accepted those all reforms. And what happened after these reforms? They became very, very poor. They couldn't raise their heads, and after that there rises a party called United Russia. In Russian they say Единая Россия. This party's aims was to regain their authority, regain their lost status of the country, and to establish their friendship with the countries in the world, and also to establish and to recover their economy from the disaster. This is a dilemma, and with these aims they were organized one party. At that time there was no two parties, but there were parties, but they couldn't appear in the society. But of course there was the Communist Party, but it was not a majority. But the people who were in that Communist Party, they were the people who came to this the United Party. And these requirements, of course, the people also wanted. They wanted to win this because during the period beginning from 90 to 2000, they were suffering much, more than enough. That is why they select this United Party in the leadership of this Putin, and then he did a lot of to develop this country, to raise from that situation, from this disaster. Even people could do nothing.
So people were very positive during his first election.
Yeah.
Is that the same, do you find, in the recent March elections that happened?
Of course, I believe, because they want to raise their country. There may be people who against, because in any country you can find there are people they are against for anything, for good, for bad, everything. So that's the way. But in the Russia's context, I hope the Putin's role is very, very important, because he want to do something. He want to raise his country. The authority lost stability.
But then reports I read said that there are controversial issues about the election itself. They say Putin didn't really win Moscow, so that was, if I'm not mistaken, that was sort of a loss for him. So do you feel like that popularity has dwindled during the past decade, and a little bit more than a decade actually?
I hope so, but another fact here, I think there are some foreign intervention also. They who are the people who are doing those things, because
who would you say?
Maybe the Western.
Maybe U.S. Where?
No,
EU?
you know, who are the leaders of those of that front? Because I was there from 2000 to 2004. This experience I had, but the people who can't understand what they should achieve, they are the people who are against him. Even the lot of money is given to those people who are against him.
So you lived under a Putin regime. So
of course, I studied together in the university even.
So did you see a positive change in Russia during his time?
Of course.
Can you give us some
examples? I was in 1982 to 84. At that it was the Soviet period. But I went there after this perestroika. You know the perestroika. After that. And up to that period, their country, the society and the properties like this roads and buildings, nothing were repaired. They were just as like when they were built in 40s somewhere. But after he came there, because I was there, he made totally, I was in St. Petersburg, he totally made it renewed. Some street he made like in London even. So I noticed he did. That is why.
You sound like a very pro-Putin
No, I don't need to say any word
right.
against or bias.
Right. Can you talk also about now when he finished his presidency, Dmitry Medvedev took over, but he became the prime minister. And a lot of people are saying that he did that to maintain his power in an indirect way. What is his relationship between Dmitry Medvedev during this period?
In this context, what the people expected from the leader of that party, somehow they could achieve from the Putin. But after that, they felt that he, the successor, was not so strong. Like. But
was Putin behind him? Was he doing sort of taking all the big decisions as people suspect that he did?
Yes, people believed. But what he could do?
So you don't think that he was really behind Medvedev's decisions?
He was behind, but he couldn't rule anything. No, the whole thing he couldn't control. That is why I think the people again believe in him.